Discipline is usually presented as the answer. If you're struggling, you're told to tighten your routine, to be stricter, more controlled, more consistent, and at first this can feel effective. You force yourself into action. You follow the plan. You do what needs to be done. There's a sense of order, but slowly something else begins to happen, something less visible. Discipline often works by overriding how you feel. You act despite resistance, and while that produces results, it comes with a cost. The body stays tense, the mind stays alert, rest feels shallow. Even when you're on track, you don't feel settled. This is because control keeps the nervous system activated. It doesn't allow release, so effort continues, but recovery doesn't. Over time, discipline stops feeling neutral. It becomes pressure. Rules become demands. Schedules become obligations. Breaks start to feel like failure. You're no longer choosing effort. You're complying with it. This changes the emotional meaning of action. You don't move towards something. You move away from consequences. And that shift matters more than people realize. When pressure is constant, resistance isn't a flaw. It's a response. The system pushes back to protect itself from overload. Effort starts to feel punitive, not because the task is hard, but because the method feels threatening. This is why people describe feeling blocked, even when they care deeply. The resistance isn't against progress. It's against pressure. Many people fall into the same pattern. They become strict. They push hard. They hold themselves together. Then energy collapses. Motivation disappears. Everything feels heavy. So they conclude they weren't disciplined enough, and next time they push even harder. But the problem was never a lack of discipline. It was applying discipline without regard for capacity. The nervous system doesn't respond to rules. It responds to safety. When effort feels safe, it doesn't need enforcement. Movement becomes natural because it isn't being resisted internally. This is why gentle routines often last longer than strict ones. Not because they're easy, but because they don't trigger defense. They allow recovery alongside effort. Real consistency isn't rigid. It's responsive. It adapts to energy. It respects limits. It adjusts instead of punishing. This kind of consistency doesn't require willpower. It grows from trust. Trust that effort won't be used against you. Trust that rest won't erase progress. When that trust exists, resistance fades. There is often a moment when discipline stops feeling supportive and starts feeling personal, not encouraging, not guiding, judging. You notice how often you push yourself, how little room you leave for rest, how every pause feels suspicious. Even on good days, there's tension. Even when things are going well, there's pressure to maintain. This is when discipline stops helping and starts draining, not because discipline is wrong, but because it's no longer aligned with how the system actually works. Effort becomes something to endure instead of something to trust. And when that happens, the system begins to quietly pull away. Discipline isn't the enemy, but pressure is. When discipline becomes a threat, the system eventually pushes back. Sustainable progress begins when effort feels chosen, not enforced. You don't need more control. You need an approach your system doesn't have to fight. That's when consistency stops feeling heavy and starts feeling natural.